guys, it's Megan Cave. Before we start the episode of Expert Instruction, I wanted to let you know that we're hiring here at PBIS Apps. If you've been looking for an opportunity to come work with our team, because honestly, who wouldn't? The time is now. We're hiring a new member of our training team, and we're looking for someone with an enthusiasm for teaching adults and a passion for PBIS and data-driven decision-making. So if that's you, we want you to apply. Check the link in the description for more information about the position. And now here's our episode. Welcome back to Expert Instruction, the Teach by Design podcast, where we dive deeper into the research surrounding student behavior by talking with the people implementing these practices, where they work, and with the students they support. I'm Megan Cave. Hey, everybody. We're back with another installment of our Mythbusters series. Today, we're looking to bust the myth that students today just don't care about school like they used to. Now, I think this idea that students are apathetic about school isn't new. It seems to roll around every now and again, but this current iteration to me comes out of the way that we as adults notice how students are glued to their phones, or maybe the idea that students would rather watch YouTube than read a book. Recently, even, The Atlantic published an article where they described how college students are feeling overwhelmed by reading books. Just reading them is overwhelming. Now, as you can imagine, that article took off within academic circles with lots of people chiming in on the reasons why that might be. It's the combination of experience and anecdotes that just perpetuated this idea that students today are looking for quick hits more than they actually want to engage in deeper learning. So as we put together this episode, I really wanted to think more critically about this idea of student engagement, that maybe the myth stems from a reality that our traditional methods for engaging students in learning aren't really meeting the needs of our students today, that there might be some kind of disconnect there. And then I remembered our conversation with Sunsay Turn, Kathy Stauffer, and Ginny Joseph back in October, where Kathy actually shared how one of the schools in her district had started a student elective to engage students more directly in the school's PBIS implementation. So if students didn't care about school, surely that class wouldn't work. But she described how it was working. And so I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity to have them on as guests to talk about how they've successfully incorporated student voices and participation to make their school a more positive place. Joining us today are Marisa Cardenas-Jocelyn and Aydree from Silverado High School in Mission Viejo, California. Marisa is a member of the school's PBIS team and an instructional coach at Silverado, and Aydree is an 11th grader and a member of the school's PALS class. PALS stands for Peer Assistance and Leadership. I didn't know that. I had to look it up, and I had to ask them, and then I looked it up, but that's what that is. At their school, PALS is an elective where students can collaborate with the PBIS team to come up with lesson plans for reteaching expectations to students, and then the class actually does the reteaching in classes around the school. So the class itself is new to the school this year, but they've already seen such incredible results. We learned from Marisa and Aydree that students want to engage with adults and play an active role in building the kind of school where they can learn and be themselves. I loved hearing from Aydree about her experience in this class, that not only does she love having an impact on her school, but it's also very clear that the class has had an impact on her confidence as a leader and a public speaker. Silverado is an example of how students absolutely care about their school. They only needed to be offered an opportunity to engage. This was their experience, but we know that there are lots of ideas in here for you to try in your school too. Well, Marisa and Aydree, thanks so much for joining us today. Mimi and I are very excited to have you here as our guests.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. We're excited to be here as well.
Yeah, we first heard the tiniest tell about what's going on at your school from Kathy Stauffer in a previous episode that we recorded with her. She mentioned that you all have this exciting class that you've got going on in your building. And so today we knew that we wanted to talk about this myth that students today just don't care about school like they used to. And as soon as I was thinking about that, I was like, well, who could we talk to? And I was like, man, it would be great if we could talk to students. And it immediately registered in my mind that we had just heard from Kathy about this awesome thing that you guys are doing. And so we're happy to have you. So the myth, like I said, that we're trying to address is that students today just don't care about school. And I think that this is something, I don't know that people say it just right out loud like that very often, but they'll refer to it in different ways. Like kids are on their phones all the time. They'd rather watch YouTube than go to school, whatever. So why do you think this happens? Why do you think people think this and that it persists?
Yes, that's a great question. I think Aydree, as a student, would be really great to answer that first.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say that sometimes you just have to have like your off days.
Mm-hmm.
And, this nowadays, I feel school can be a little bit overwhelming and stressful. And sometimes you just don't have the right coping mechanisms on how to handle that. And, sometimes I feel like you just have your off days, and I can see how adults could kind of have that vibe come off from us. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that too here at the office. On any given day, someone might show up to in my office and go, are you actually here today? Are you just physically here today? Yeah. Yeah.
I think too, it's also with like whatever the room holds. So sometimes maybe we might feel a little bit like some tense in like the room. And so our energy kind of bounces off of whatever we're kind of feeling at that moment. But,
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Marisa, what do you think as an adult? What do you think that us adults think that kids don't care?
I think we're in an educational stage where our students have changed drastically in their learning styles, in their social emotional needs. They are digital natives. So yes, we do see technology as a huge component of their everyday lives in the classroom, outside of the classroom. And as an educator of 15 years now, seeing that change, I doing the best I can to find ways to connect with my students in this digital age. But unfortunately, a lot of times, and I'll be honest, a lot of times it's easier to say, yeah, they don't want to be here because I'm not quite sure what the next step would be. And I think students and educators are so opposite from each other right now that we're just in a navigation period where we're trying to figure out how we can connect with them on a school campus and relate to them in what they need and what they want from us. So I think the myth that they don't want to be here, they don't care about school, I think they do truly still care about school. And for the most part, they do truly want to be here. It just looks different. And we need to find a way to cross the bridge and meet each other halfway so we can have a positive experience on both ends.
I agree. I was just thinking about this. Because I have two kids, and they know a lot of information, but the way that they got that information is not the way that I ever learned it when I was a kid. Like, we were just watching something the other day that was talking about the Jurassic, Cretaceous, whatever. I'm really sorry to all of my teachers that tried to teach me this stuff. It was on a TV show, and they were, talking about this, and my kids could rattle off all the different eras. They knew about all these different dinosaurs. The other day, our oldest one was talking about some random sea creature. And I was like, how do you know these things? And they remembered it from one of them from Dinosaur Train. That's a cartoon on like,
yeah. You know it well.
Yeah, know it well.
Oh, yes.
They knew it from Dinosaur Train. Sparked a lifelong love of dinosaurs for one of them, and then the other one learned it from Octonauts, which was also a kids' TV show, and it just like registers for them, and so they remember these things. I learned it a real like traditional way, and you look at me, I don't know it. It didn't register quite the same way. So there is something to what you're talking about, which is that like these engagement strategies, I think that we have that are pretty traditional, may not be as engaging as they used to be because students right now have so many other modes of learning that they can do. They carry around, so many of them, computers in their back pockets. If they have a question, they can ask it. And there's like, I don't know, multimedia ways of learning this stuff that where they're getting it outside of school, maybe they aren't getting that same level of engagement in school, potentially.
That's why I like the idea of this class and what you said about coming across the bridge to try to understand better and engage instead of just throwing our hands up and being in frustration, to try to engage and understand more. And this class really sounds like it's a neat way to do that and to understand from students, what do students need and want out of this experience, and how can we incorporate that into what we're doing as the adults in the building to try to figure out, how to connect better.
Yeah. So let's talk about this class a little bit. So I'll let you tell the story, but essentially you have a class full of students in elective that is contributing to your PBIS framework and implementation in your school. And so we want to know more about it. When did this idea first come up at the school that we should really engage our students in what we're doing to build a positive school culture here?
So we started the conversation about last school year. So it took us about a full school year to really flesh out the idea for this class. But the nature of our students' needs, the culture that we try to instill on our campus with student voice driving how we operate, we realized with PBIS being such an integral part of our campus culture, we needed to make sure that we had ways to really up the student voice and really give our students another chance to participate on campus in an activity that they wouldn't necessarily have had at one of their comprehensive high schools. So within our tier 1 and tier 2 teams, we've been talking last year about how do we incorporate student voice even more. We've done student surveys. We've gone to the students and asked, what do you want to see on campus? What do you want to see in our student store? And while that was beneficial and it really did help us, our PBIS program was still very adult driven, and we wanted it to be driven by our students. And so in a conversation in our teams, we said, why not create a PBIS class? Where our students can really take the driver's seat of what happens on our campus within our program. And when it comes to teaching expectations and modeling that appropriate behavior, who better for our students to learn from than their peers? They don't want to see, us older generation teachers saying, here's how you properly walk down the hallway. They want to learn from their peers. They already have that connectedness with them. And so we just pitched some ideas. We brainstormed. We found the PALS program, the Peer Assisted Leadership program, and thought, well, we could really take this and morph it into a PBIS-driven class that's an elective for our students to opt in to take.
Yeah, great. When you were talking about how there's a value that you're sharing in this story too, which is that you really value student perspective in your school and really giving students the opportunity to shape and create the kind of school that they want to be a part of, and that positive school climate. And so I wonder, why is that? What did you see in the way in this adult-driven format that you had noticed before? And what did you think that the value would be when you added this class and getting your students more incorporated into your team?
We saw that our students form very strong relationships with teachers on campus. And we have a group of students who've come to us for various reasons, and it's not always their choice to come to us, and they don't know the say in how their academic career pans out. And once they embrace our culture and they've been on our campus for a couple of weeks, they realize that they have the opportunity to express their feelings to teachers, give ideas to their teachers. And so knowing that this is the type of student that we have and we service, we wanted to make sure that they knew their voices were valued and they had a platform to shape how the school was going to be run. And the best way, our PBIS culture is very strong. It's been very strong since we implemented 4 or 5 years ago. but we've seen our behavior positively change over the years with this program. And we just knew that with the students driving the conversations on what school should look like and how school should feel, we knew that was just going to take us to the next level of making sure that we're a safe, comfortable environment for all of our learners.
Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing too is that you really don't believe that kids don't care. You believe that they actually do care about what their school and education is like, and that they should take an active role in it, which is something we believe too. I just think it's really nice to hear that from people who are teaching and in schools. It's a nice thing to hear that that's a core value that you share amongst all the adults in the building, and that you wanted to do something about it. So what's the name of this class that you started to get this perspective? What's the name of it? What's it? Is it a year-long elective? How do you get to be involved? How many credits? Like just the nuts and bolts of how this all works.
So this class is called PALS. It's a year-long elective. As each trimester progresses, more students can be added to it. And it gives like 5 credits, I believe. It's an elective. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. So our student population is very fluid. We take in new students every 6 weeks. Sometimes at the end of December, we might say goodbye to some students because they transfer back to their home high school. Some graduate early. And with the nature of our students, their primary goal with us is recovering those credits they're deficient in. So we wanted to make sure it's an open class where they can be part of it. But if we find in second trimester or third trimester, they need a core content class more than an elective to keep them on grad track, then they can move out, knowing that the following trimester they can move back in. So they do have, because we're trimesters, they can stay in the class for the full year. And we have some who do plan to stay in the class and they'll earn 15 elective credits. We've taken some new ones in for the second trimester. And then our third trimester in is about 6 weeks. So we're hoping we can just continue to build the class and create. Our goal is we want to create more leaders on our campus, and we want our students to have their voice heard. And so if they're with us for just a portion of the class, the school year, or with the long haul, they have an opportunity to be a part of this great program.
I love that.
I know, me too. Me too. So students get to self-select into this class. Do you ever, are there ever opportunities where you reach out to students and say, hey, I think I'd like you to join this? Like, have you thought about this elective?
Yes. So when we get close to a new trimester starting, we email all the teachers, hey, we have room in our PALS class. If you have any students you feel would benefit from being in this class, would be a stellar leader on our campus, let us know. And then from that list, we go from there and we look at their transcripts to make sure they need the elective credits. And then we have conversations with students and tell them, we think you're a strong leader and we think your voice needs to be heard. And we would really love for you to be a part of this. The curriculum that we use is part of the PALS program, but then we have the students creating PBIS centered lessons that they go in and teach to the other classes when we need refreshers or booster lessons related to our behavior and our expectations on campus. So the majority of the class is really student-led in where they feel we need to put our work and our time in sharing these expectations with our campus.
Got it. Aydree, why did you want to be a part of this class? How long have you been doing it now? It's just the first trimester?
Hi. So I will say at first, it was just a class I got put into, but as I started to be in the class more, I really enjoyed it because being in this class, I got to see what it was like on their point of view, and I got to be very involved, especially with them being very open to taking ideas from students. But I really like this because it really makes it easier to communicate with adults as well. So it helps our communication with adults become a little bit better. And it's very fun just being able to be very hands-on in the store. I did have the opportunity to be able to teach a lesson to my peers. We do have the option whether we want to take over the full lesson or if we just want to help out the teachers with the lesson. I did a mix between both. The first time that I did do it, I just helped out with the teacher, but the second time I was able to um, be able to teach the full lesson just with myself. I really enjoyed it because it helped with my social anxiety, and speech and just presenting is just a lot. And so I kind of wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone to be able to overcome that sort of fear. But I really like it because the papers, we hand out papers and able to reflect, and it's also like a class discussion and everyone seems like interested in it. Um, but no, I really enjoyed giving those lessons because we have a website that goes with it that also sends positivity and able to send messages to students and just or staff members or just thanking them for doing stuff. But I really think it has a positive impact, and for the rest of the day, it really just sets people to be successful.
Totally. How do you get those lessons? How do you know which lesson you guys have to build as a group? Does the team come to you and ask you, like the PBIS team, come to the class and say, we really need you to do a refresher about this thing, and then you all build the lesson, or how does that work?
So the beauty with how we rolled this class out, our tier 1 facilitator is the teacher of the PALS class. So we meet as a tier 1 team monthly, and then she and I check in more frequently than that. And we pull the PBIS data and see trends that we might need to have booster lessons or refreshers. We discuss it as the tier 1 team, saying we would like to see this lesson come through within the next month. So then our tier 1 facilitator, as the teacher of PALS, takes it back to her class and says, here's the next lesson that we need to work on. Do you want to make a video? Do we want to do a slide presentation? And she really lets the students run with how that develops. We also have a give thanks program where they have lessons where we're working on teaching gratefulness and gratitude across campus. And so they have lessons that we bring to the PALS class, and then they say, okay, we need to make these changes to the lesson because we're going to lose the students. It's not engaging enough. Let's add this component. And so that's where they also get to shine in developing what gets pushed out to the rest of the student body.
Do you have examples? I'm curious now, like what was the lesson plan or what was the lesson that came to you all? And then you were like, that ain't it. Like we got to change this part about it. I was just wondering if you had any of those off the top of your head.
There's been some lessons so far. All of them have gone smoothly. There's the little changes, whether that's less involvement with like the students giving feedback, because the classes are pretty small. So like sometimes it'll be like one teacher and like one student, and you don't know how they're going to respond to it. But those are just like the little changes that we normally have with just like, oh, maybe like if they answer the question, passing out candy, which obviously that's going to make people like get driven in and be like, all right, I'll answer it.
So you're doing the lessons in every once in a while. You have a reteach that needs to happen, so you're involved in those lessons. Are there any other activities that you all do in that class related to PBIS?
Yeah, so once we have new students come every 6 weeks, we have a new student welcome. So then the students, know what our kind of expectations are for their school. And just so they feel welcome, we normally bring donuts for them. So
yeah, we just had a donut activity over here. We do donuts too. It's a lifelong reward.
That's right.
But it's a good way to welcome students and just seeing, okay, this is the group that we have, them being able to kind of introduce themselves. And then also we have the Sylvie Shack store from it, and that's when we normally give ideas on like what students need. So sometimes whether that's like hygiene stuff or just school supplies like backpacks, pencils, highlighters, we're able to just add stuff to the store and reasonable.
Yeah,
it's reasonable to our students' needs. But I think that just being able to have our store also gives goals that we can strive to get, because sometimes teachers you might not think that they notice when you do something, but they reward you with giving the point system that we have for PBIS, which they give you points, and each item in our store is listed as a certain price. So sometimes you see a product, you're like, oh, I really want that. So you have to like really be on top of, your goals that you have, and also with expectations and just respecting teachers so you get those points. But I think I really like it. The other things that we have that's extra. Along with leading lessons, you also get to be inactive in the store, and it's really fun.
What are some of the popular items from your store? What do students like at your school?
I know the Squishmallows. Those are very big.
Squishmallows?
Yes, we have Squishmallows.
The small ones or the big ones?
We have a variety of both.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so what's really cool is that we normally update them. So like around Halloween, we have like Halloween ones.
Nice.
Yeah, Christmas ones. And I would say another big one is just like candy.
Sure.
Candy.
Yeah.
And also another one is like passes sometimes that we can buy.
To do what?
So sometimes we have snacks in our during Wednesdays. We can get just a little pass, and that's whether to purchase like a free item over there. So like we'll have like little candies, chips, drinks that they can just get by the slip from their store and just get it. And all right, well, I'm gonna turn this in so I can get one free snack. So it's just like little slips like that we can get.
Yeah, nice. This all sounds so great, and it runs effortlessly as your school's been implementing as adults. Like what has the challenge been for incorporating a class like this into the way that your team works, your PBIS teams work?
Do you want to talk about any challenges in participating in the class first?
I think the only challenge I see is just getting out of your comfort zone and be able to like speak up about certain ideas that you have. But I don't see any like really major things with it. I think with them being able to make this an elective is really fun, because with the other schools, sometimes there's too many students and some students just don't have the opportunity to be able to use their voice and give ideas. Now with this system, it's just very much, it goes smoothly. If certain students want to join, they can come to their teacher and ask about it. But yeah, I don't really see any like most challenging things. I think the other thing is just getting out of your comfort zone and be able to make new friends and being able to, just have one-on-one time with some friends. Because I feel like this class also, like, I gained a lot of friends from it, which is really fun, because with coming to the school, it was really hard because I didn't really know anyone.
Sure.
So with this class, I was able to make new friends, and we all had a class together to look forward to. And we all like outside of the class too, we would like be like, oh, this is like a perfect idea for it. So yeah.
I was just going to ask, do you ever have students that aren't in the class, like friends of yours that aren't in the class, that say, hey, you know what you guys should do is whatever. And then you bring the idea back.
Yeah. I've had a few friends that have done that. They're like, you should like throw out this idea or like, I get into the class. Like I haven't had one friend that has been like has any negative comments towards it, because it's such a positive environment. And just with how the system's running with the stores, like it's always like, oh, maybe you should add this product. Like I know a lot of my friends will like this and be like more popular in it. But yeah, I would say we get like outside feedback too, which is really
awesome.
And I would say the most challenging for the logistics of this elective and coordinating everything is because we take in students every 6 weeks, and we have a lot of students who've never really had the opportunity to showcase the leadership skills they naturally have. They can be very hesitant to be in the class at first. And like Aydree said, once she got into the class and saw what it was, she really enjoyed it. We do try to build a lot of team building activities into the weekly lessons that we have with the PALS class, so we can get them feeling more comfortable with each other. And recruitment, it's just, we're a small school, so the nature of our class sizes are very small. 10 to 20 is an average. So while we really want to see this class grow and we'd love to see, many, many students in it, it's very difficult to keep the class filled at the max because we have students coming and going every 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. How I asked you earlier about like the value that you would hope to get from students and adding that to your PBIS implementation. And so this class has now been going on for a year. Is that right? You did it last year?
No, we started planning for it last year. We just rolled it out this fall.
Have you seen some of that value add already to your implementation and the work that you're trying to accomplish as a PBIS team?
Yes, we definitely have. We look at our data frequently. We see the behaviors of our students trending towards that positive with following the expectations. The whole of our students are embracing our campus-wide expectations more, I feel, because they're seeing their peers model it and they're seeing the message being delivered from their peers across all classes. We're seeing, we're trying to implement more PBIS activities. So for the month of December, we held a PBIS holiday party that students could use points to participate. We also had something called Spot Sylvie Scout. So we had a little scout who hid around campus each day and students could scan it. And so we saw a huge influx of students participating in these fun activities and trying to earn more PBIS points. And you could just hear the fun excitement in their voice as they're walking through the hallway. Have you seen Scout? Hey, are you going to buy a ticket? And so we're really, now that we have a trimester under our belt with the class, we're trying to implement more of these campus-wide activities because we do see the sense of excitement in students, and we do see them wanting to participate more in following the expectations and earning those PBIS points. And like Aydree said, students not in the class reaching out to students in the class. Hey, have you thought about this idea? Or, hey, you should stock this, or, maybe the next lesson should be, we just did a big cell phone policy booster lesson that the students really had a hand in driving that. So we're seeing the value that we were hoping, and we're hoping we can continue keeping this class on our campus because it has made such a positive impact for our students, for our culture, and for our teachers as well.
That's incredible. You mentioned cell phones. I just have to take a quick tangent into cell phone territory because I'm very curious what you all did as lessons for revising or reviewing the cell phone policy, because this is a thing that's come up. We talked to Kathy last time when she was on, we talked to her about it. There was an administrator from a local school on that same episode. He's having to address new cell phone policies in his building. And so what did you all do? People are always curious, looking for new activities, new lessons, new ways of talking about stuff. So what did you all do when you were trying to roll that out and talk to students about the new policies?
So we kept it short and sweet because that's the nature of our students' attention span. And so every teacher committed in every single one of their class periods, we are all going to show the school-wide cell phone policy. And then based on each teacher's classroom, they have the autonomy to work that cell phone policy. Sometimes you need a cell phone if you need to translate something. Sometimes you need it to do a quick search. So each teacher with their students' voices had the autonomy to take that policy and tweak it for what works best in that classroom. In a math classroom, they might need to use it as a calculator. So that would have been built into that specific teacher's policy. And because we did it with every single teacher, every single class period, all students on campus heard the message. So now they're set up for success. When I'm in my math class, I put my cell phone in the pocket on the wall. I'm allowed to take it out if I need a calculator. In my English class, my English teacher has a cell phone basket where I put it in the basket and I can have it back at the end of the class if I have an 80% or higher in the class and all my work is complete, I can have it back the last couple minutes of class. And so now our students know what those expectations are as they move from class to class. And our teachers and students have both said it's really helped with keeping the cell phone use at a minimum. We're not seeing the students just on the cell phones. They are following the expectations of their classroom, and it's just really worked out on both ends for our. Mm-hmm.
That's really good. Yeah, that's been kind of the message that we've heard, is that like once you just talk to the students about this is the policy, and everybody knows that every student in that school has the same policy, that it's like nobody's getting some special treatment. No one's, this is just how it works. It seems like it's been okay in the people that we've talked to.
Yeah, and I think having the teachers on board is key, sure. Right? Yeah. Especially in high schools where we see teachers, sometimes it's hard to get them to be consistent, because we often operate by department, or we operate by, and everybody kind of makes their own rules that way. And then the students are experiencing these wildly different rules and so forth. And so that consistency is key. It's great that you've really paid attention to that.
Yes. And it definitely helps. Our teachers are amazing when they do notice the positive behavior. Thank you for putting your cell phone in the pocket. They just pass out the PBIS points. So our students are seeing that direct incentive coming through. I follow the expectation. I'm going to earn those PBIS points. I'm going to be thanked for following the expectation. And then they can use it in our Sylvie Shack for squishmallows or candy.
Aydree, have you noticed, what has this class taught you? How has it affected the way that you participate in school? And what have you seen how it has affected the way your friends even participate in school?
I would say that it's helped me with just my social anxiety with speaking in front of people, along with me being, since I'm student representative, like that's also something that I had to get out of my comfort zone. But this class prepared me for that task that I would have to take on, with being able to speak in front of people. And just with hearing the feedback from my friends on how much they enjoy the lesson. And sometimes you just need a refresher on like policies or expectations. Like sometimes you just have to make that quick switch. It's like, oh yeah, like those are expectations, I need to follow them. And so just having like these monthly check-ins and new lessons you learn each time, like it's great, especially with the Give Thanks website that there is. Like you never know if someone's having a bad day or if something's going on, like just giving a quick message like, hey, like when you really did this or helped me out on this assignment, like it really made me feel good. Like, and then you get a notification on like your computer, like, oh, look, I got a notification, you open it, and just seeing that someone's acknowledging that, it really just, for the rest of the day, you just have a smile, because it's good and it has a positive impact.
What is this website you're talking about? This Give Thanks website? What is that?
So there is an educational program called Give Thanks, and it focuses on teaching intentional gratitude. And so we've taken that on as a campus this year. We run the lessons through our PALS class. Those are some of the lessons that they help build. Yep. And it gives the students a platform where they can show their gratitude to teachers or staff. Like Aydree said, a student can send another student a thanks note. Thanks for helping me out in class. Thanks, for lending me your notes. And we're doing it with our PBIS program to just further teach our students it's okay to share that you're thankful for something.
It's important to share. Yeah.
And teachers send thank you notes for students. And we know, especially through PBIS, we know our students really thrive with that positive feedback from their teachers. And so sometimes when they're in class and they get that notification from a teacher, hey, you did really awesome presenting in your class today. Thank you so much for doing this. It just really boosts their self-esteem and shows the students we care that they're here. We appreciate the hard work they put in every day for us as students, and we value them. And it's been a really great addition to what we've already been doing with our PBIS.
That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do give thanks?
It sounds so fun.
Mimi, I'm grateful that you joined me today. Thank you so much.
Grateful for the invitation.
Well, I guess I just want to really quick circle back to this myth that we started out with, which is that students today just don't care about school as much as they used to. And I know that your school is just an example of it, but I think it's an example that's able to be replicated in other places, which is that I think kids do care. Students do care about what's going on. It's just a matter of how we engage them. And your example of having this elective is a really great one that I think the people listening right now would be interested to consider how they might be able to create a class like this where they are. But it's pretty clear to me that if you've got students like Aydree who are invested in the work that you're trying to accomplish as a school and creating a positive, proactive climate and culture, then you've got kids that care about what's going on, and that you're utilizing that as a value add to your school and giving them that autonomy to create the kind of educational space that they want to learn in. So congratulations on that. And yeah, we're just grateful. Thank you to the two of you for joining us today. And we really appreciate the time that you took to share all the good work that you're doing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. It's really wonderful to learn, as I said at the beginning, just to hear all the great work that's going on, specifically in high schools. Special place in my heart for high schools. Because they can be especially challenging, for students. I know Aydree's nodding her head for all the students out there, and then also for the adults, because it's a big kind of unwieldy beast sometimes, to try to navigate. And I think seeing a shining light like the work that you all are doing is really exciting. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We believe in the work, and we're seeing the positive change, and we believe that our students do care, and we need to give them the opportunity to show that they care where they're at. So that's what we're just trying to do.